It's a cool, crisp September evening, and you find yourself sitting on the cold, hard metal bleachers watching your local high school football team. As you're watching the game, you hear the sudden crash. The sound you heard was two players on the field colliding helmet to helmet. Unfortunately, this scene is all too common in football. According to headcasecompany.com, 1 in 5 high school athletes will suffer a sports-related concussion this season. Of that percentage, 33% of those concussions will happen during practice. As a mom of 3 boys and a huge fan of football, I now need to be more aware of concussions due to the fact that my oldest son will be playing football this fall. During my speech, I would like to highlight what a concussion is, the causes, the symptoms, and the effects, both long and short term, that concussions can have on your body. According to Mayo Clinic, a concussion is a traumatic brain injury that can have effects on your brain function. The first main cause of a concussion is a bump, blow, or jolt to the head. As you heard in the introduction, we had the 2 players colliding helmet to helmet. This picture illustrates what that helmet-to-helmet collision actually looks like. The second picture illustrates the effects after the collision. Once they collide head-to-head, we see the head bouncing back, thus showing the brain hitting the skull. And this can lead to the concussion. These types of concussions are most common in contact sports, bike accidents, falls, and fights. Another cause is a hit to the body that causes the brain to move back and forth rapidly inside the head. Let me demonstrate with this egg. We'll pretend that the egg is the human head. The shell is going to be your skull. Inside the egg white will be the brain fluid protecting your brain, and the yolk is the brain itself. When I shake the egg ever so lightly, although we can't see it, we know that the white and the yolk are moving within the shell. The harder I shake it, the more force it picks up. When this happens, the yolk will push onto the white, separating it, causing it to hit the shell. This type of concussion is common in car accidents and physical abuse victims that are shaken. This also is common in what we would refer to as shaken baby syndrome. Now that we have talked about what a concussion is and what causes them, let's take a look at the symptoms. Not all symptoms are immediate. The immediate signs and symptoms of a concussion will be a dazed look, dizziness, vomiting, soreness to the head or beginning of a headache, impaired speech, and fatigue. Not all symptoms are going to be physical, and 90% of concussions that were diagnosed did not have a loss of consciousness during the concussion itself. So I'd like to just dispel that rumor, myth, fable that anyone that suffers from a concussion will lose consciousness. It doesn't always happen. Some of the symptoms are delayed. They happen hours to days following the concussion. Some of these symptoms are changes in sleep pattern, difficulty falling asleep, not sleeping enough, or sleeping too much. Concentration or memory issues, forgetting things that you should remember, having a hard time concentrating in class, sensitivity to light and sound, not being able to turn your TV up or your music in your car up as loud as you used to. Depression can be a symptom that comes after, and changes in smell and taste. Some things to watch for in infants and toddlers, because they are unable to tell us what hurts or how they're feeling. Look for a dazed look, listlessness, and tiring easily. Very irritable, cranky, unsteady movement, hard time walking, and excessive crying, and changes in their eating and sleep patterns. No two concussions are the same, but if they are left untreated, concussions can have lasting effects. According to Prevacus.com, the exact short and long-term effects of concussions are still evolving, which means we don't know the full extent of what they can do to the human body. The information that we have is just from what we've seen thus far. Short-term effects on the body are similar to some of the symptoms that we see. We will notice headaches, changes in mental status, fatigue, and changes in your sleep patterns. According to the CDC, they state that a traumatic brain injury can cause a wide range of functional, short or long-term changes that can affect your thinking, which includes your memory and your reasoning skills. Sensation, that affects your sight and your balance. Language, how you talk, your understanding, and your communication. Emotion, it can lead to depression, anxiety, or changes in your personality. Long-term effects that have been found are epilepsy, and there's increased risks for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other brain disorders. You've heard what the concussion is, what causes it, and now what the signs and symptoms are. Concussions can happen to anyone. Anyone that plays sports, rides a bike, or drives a car. What I want you to take away from this is to keep in mind the signs and symptoms of a concussion. You never know when, as a friend, a spectator, a coach, or a parent, you may be the reason that someone seeks medical treatment for an injury involving their head.